Evening from Toronto, very warm Toronto today, and I think we'll probably turn on ACs tonight to be able to sleep. Um, my LinkedIn family, welcome to yet another um, show that my friend Brent Edwards, and I bring to you, reinventing your careers in Canada. The focus of this show to help you understand certain things that immigrants need to do when they come here, or if they're already here, there are certain things that really need to practice and follow to be able to reach to their success or to their goals quickly. Um, so, without any further ado, I bring in Brent, and then we'll talk about who the guest is today. Hello, good evening, Brent.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm fine. Your new camera looks fabulous.
Thank you. It was
I,
all thanks to my daughter. Got me all set up. So, Hamad, this is a pretty important night. Do you know why tonight is such an important evening in Canada?
please share.
Okay, so it's hockey night in Canada. We have game one between the Toronto Maple Leafs and my team,
All right.
the Montreal Canadiens. They're playing in the playoffs for the first time in 42 years. They
All
are
right.
renewing a historic rivalry.
All
And
right.
this is a big deal. And I know a lot of the Toronto fans have got their hopes up, and they're the favorites for sure. So if Toronto doesn't win, oh, they're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
But,
So, no, great. I wish you all the best, to your team, all the best. And this is
it,
a great start for today's conversation.
it,
Brent, like my kids, when they go out, they talk about the things they watch on TV, and this is what really helps them build conversation with people, of their age. And when you are in Canada and you don't talk about these games, then you're almost excluded from the conversation.
exactly. It's all around inclusion. And that's one of the interesting things that happened about 10 years ago. There was a couple of gentlemen from, I believe, from Brampton, who had been, watching, Hockey Night in Canada for years on TV, but they actually wanted to make it more accessible. So they started doing kind of as a side business, a side broadcast, Hockey Night in Canada in Punjabi.
All right.
And then they are actually brought on to the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast team. So it's actually official that they do the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast in Punjabi and just make our national game much more inclusive, which is really cool to see. And they've actually written a book about their experiences, which I gave to my brother-in-law for recent holidays. So yeah, it's all about how do we make Canada more inclusive, more welcoming, and that's again a small part of reason why we're doing our biweekly podcast.
Yes. And they call it fortnightly podcast.
Right. Yes, we all learn new
And
words
today's
every
our
week.
ninth,
So there we go.
yeah, today's our ninth show. Uh,
Yeah,
and I mean, when we started, we were just experimenting. And I would still think that we are experimenting.
sure.
Uh, the show is usually reaches to about close to 800 people in 24 hours, which is great. I'm sure some people are learning new things, new ideas, new thought processes. Last show, Ali Pasha was fantastic in explaining exactly what happens when you land there and how you can excel very quickly because the opportunities are out there. You have to tap into those opportunities, and this is what Brent and I keep saying to them, right? You have to come here with a very open mind. You have to reinvent yourself. That's how we debated actually how should we name this show? How should we brand this show? And this reinventing means that you can be in business if you know a skill. You can start your business very easily in this part of the world, and if you know how to promote your skills, you will find job opportunities as well. So great. Today we are very, very excited to have
Yeah,
Guneet Singh. This time
yeah.
around, I pronounce your name correct, Guneet. And she is a fabulous person, and she works at the Academy of Learning Career College, Toronto. Um, uh, she's expert in sales leadership, team management, corporate partnership, and communication and networking. So, without any further ado, I would bring Guneet live. Hello, Guneet. So this time around, the sequence has changed, as you can see, right?
That's
Um,
okay.
I think I'll probably experiment with something. Let's see. All right.
There we go.
Yeah. New.
You're in the
So
middle.
every day you learn something new. I've been using English
Absolutely.
for a while, but this time I experimented, accidentally experimented with it. So,
No, no.
Ganesh, thank you very much for spending time uh, on an exciting afternoon, evening where you can actually go out for a walk, which I will do at 7:15, as usual. Um, so, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. You should not be thanking me. I should be thanking both of you for having me over. I hope
Oh,
my experiences can help a few newcomers.
oh,
So I'm so excited and happy to be here.
oh,
And just what you were saying, you learned something new. I before we go ahead, I always say that the word, the spelling learn has earn in it.
Yes.
So the day you stop learning, you stop earning. So
oh,
learn and earn go hand in hand, right?
way to
I
go.
have to take a
That's
note of this because this is going to be the headline for the post.
there we go. Perfect. Oh, Guneet, it's so good to see you again. So, I mean, we've known each other for probably a couple of years now.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so happy that you agreed to come on the show. I know you've got a really interesting story in terms of your journey for your husband, your son, coming to Canada. Um, we've done some in-person events together. You're kind enough to
We
have me
have.
come to, your LinkedIn local that you're having in North York, which was one of the first events I had when I was going with Brent Canada Experiences, and then we had another event down at the Academy of Learning, and I remember
Yeah.
very well. It was the beginning of March of
Yeah.
last year, and we were
Yeah.
really pumped in terms of the number of attendees, and we only got a handful. And I thought,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is kind of disappointing. Like, where is everybody? Why, the 4th of March, why is no one showing up? Well, it turned out one of my first clients actually came to that event, but of course, the next week the world shut
The
down because of the
COVID still
pandemic,
happened.
and it kind of
Yeah.
explained a few things. But anyway, enough about that time. Maybe just start out. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, because I know you had a lot of experience in the education and training field in India. So tell us a bit about that and about your journey to Canada.
Sure. Thank you, Brent. It's been a pleasure knowing you, yes, and doing so many events together. I actually miss meeting people in person. It's been like, I think March 14th, we started working from home. It's more than a year where, we've been sitting at home and working, right?
Yes.
Yes, as Brent said, I have been born and brought up in India, and I just moved to Canada exactly 3 years ago. So I just finished 3 years last week. I landed in May 2018, and I have been always a very self-motivated person who thrives on challenges, right? So I've had academic oriented sales is what I specialize in, and I've organized a lot of conceptualized a lot of programs, both online and classroom, right from inception to execution. Done a lot of result driven marketing campaigns, delivered presentations to generate a healthy pipeline. This is what the kind of background that I had before migrating here. And one fine day I said, I have a son whom I want to send outside to study in Canada. And I
Hmm.
said, well, let me just apply, just sending him alone. I just have one boy. Why don't I just try? So I just tried, and I managed to get the PNP done. And, the province of Ontario was happy to give me those extra 600 points. And here I was in May with bag and baggage. So my journey was that I actually landed here alone in May of 2018. And my son joined me in July of 2018, and my husband has still not joined us. He's still back home in India. So I stay alone with my son here. He's a university going kid. And he keeps coming and, meeting us every now and then. Now, because of COVID, it's been a little long, but I've enjoyed this journey so far. I landed in my first job in 3 months' time in 2018, which was in a smaller campus of Academy of Learning. In a year and 3 months, I ended up being a senior admissions person in a bigger campus of Academy of Learning. And today I'm going to be announcing a first thing on the show, which I haven't told anybody. I've just got promoted to become a campus manager of the Hamilton campus of Academy of Learning. And I'm accepting that
Congratulations.
position from the 1st of June.
Oh, that's
So, guys,
amazing. Way to
3 years,
go.
I've had 3 promotions. And if I can do it, everybody can do it.
Oh, that's way to go. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you, Brent. So, journey has been full of little, but I think the more you guys ask me, I'll be better off with questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah. So I think, I mean, some of the things we want to share with our audience is a bit about some of the things that have worked for you, some of the things that were a struggle. I know that we've had some conversations about, your first year in Canada, and things have worked out. I mean, 3 years in, you've got a promotion, and that's amazing to hear. But I'm wondering about, like, going back to that kind of first year when you arrived, before your son joined you. What worked for you initially, and kind of what would you have done differently that you know now?
Yeah, that's a great question to reflect back on how that year was in 2018. So that was May 2018. I remember that I was very excited when I landed here. And so, like I said, I call myself a born optimistic person. So I came here with a very positive mindset that I will adapt to this new environment. I will learn about this new culture. And for me, even the directions on the road was something very new. We've not really had things like north, south, east, west. I remember boarding wrong buses initially and going to exactly the opposite direction than what I was going. And the day I learned a new way, I was so excited, right? But I had a game plan in mind, and I attended my first event in the first week of my landing, right?
First,
I
like,
remember, yeah,
networking.
absolutely. First week of my landing, I was at an event where I met these wonderful career counselors event, and I traveled an hour and a half in the bus, and I visited so many new towns in those 3 months. Alone, I explored all these things. Whenever, on LinkedIn, I saw a new event happening which I felt would be useful, I just registered for it. Obviously, I was like any newcomer, I was looking more at all the free events I was getting. So, but no, after that, I realized that no, I don't mind paying $20, but if I'm getting something out of it, let me just go there. So I signed up for Eventbrite, and I chose, the kind of events that I wanted to attend. And I started meeting some very wonderful people right from the first few days of my landing here. So that was something that helped me as a generally just taking that first step. And I met somebody, and that somebody said, "Oh, why don't you meet that person?" And then I met that person, and then I went another event. So like that, I started increasing my network of new people, right? So I did not depend on just a circle of a handful of relatives that I had here. In fact, I expanded much beyond that circle. In fact, I can proudly say that I actually know more people than my relatives in 3 years.
Wow.
I can actually say that.
And your relatives, of course, were here before you.
My relatives have been here for 40 years. And I have been here for 3 years, but I'm telling you, the diversity of people that I know and I connect with is so much more, right? Because I wanted to do that. Because Canada is known as a country of diverse cultures, right? So I really wanted to do that, and I love meeting new people, and I love learning.
You give off this very positive energy, and I can see that. But it sounded like having the game plan and wanting to, diversify your network from the very beginning. It sounds like it
so
definitely
that
worked
is
for you.
one thing that I did good, right? But yes,
and I resonate to what you're saying, Guneet. So my brother has been living here, right? It's been 22 years almost. He came here as a young professional. He studied
Okay.
here. He did his master's in microbiology
Okay.
from Karachi. Worked for Sibagayagi for a couple of years. Then he came here basically with an objective to further his studies. I mean, he came as an immigrant, but his focus was that I would like to study more. He's like a
Yeah.
kitabi kira, the way we call it, right?
Okay.
So, sorry, Brent, it's like bookworm.
So
Bookworm.
you learned a new word, Brent. Kitabi Kira means bookworm.
Okay.
So,
Wonderful.
so he actually landed in Calgary,
Okay.
did his master's in medical biotechnology from University of Calgary, and he's been living here since. And in my almost 2 years, I at least know 500 times more people across Canada than he does, right? So if I have to get something fixed at home, I know who to call.
That's
And
awesome.
if I have to buy like somebody was asking me, for a car, I know who to call for a referral or property, mortgage brokers, insurance agents. I know. So you are absolutely right, Guneet. You are in a new country,
Yeah.
and if we isolate ourselves, I mean,
Yeah.
it's very cultural also in South Asia, particularly in India and Pakistan and Nepal. Sri Lanka is more outgoing.
Yeah.
Is that we do not like to talk to people who are not in our circle. Let's put it this way,
Yeah.
right?
You stick to your own communities.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Whereas when you are in a new country, the only way to learn new things is by talking to new people, and that actually expands opportunity. Whoever I've spoken with, and my own example, for instance, like launching my program, connecting with people like Brent and you and so many other people, and gradually like improving from yesterday, like growing my business.
Yeah.
The only biggest success factor in our life is our own selves.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. So that's one area where, in terms of diversifying your network and actively going out and looking for these opportunities, really worked for you. How about another thing that really worked for you in in your first year or two?
Uh, So I would say the second thing that worked for me was being a little open-minded about accepting newer ways in life and newer cultures. Initially, it was very odd that you had to you can't be very personal with people, right? We come from a culture where you immediately invite people for tea. The moment you meet and you click, and you had to draw those boundaries and
Uh,
accept this
hmm.
different culture. And it is absolutely okay to have friends who you just have at work, or friends you just meet for coffee, and friends. So
Yes.
you start categorizing the people that you are meeting, and
Right.
have those kind of levels of relationships, and
Yes.
which is another new thing that I picked up.
I
One, I
I
was
remember
very clear.
talking. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please, you go. I was talking about something absolutely different, Brand. Sorry.
No, no, no. Sorry to interrupt. To think about like the concept around personal moats. I've kind of shared that with some of the newcomers that I've conversed with around Canadian business culture, and there's almost um, there's work life, there's personal life. Sometimes there's some overlap,
Yeah.
but in a lot of cases, the people maybe you're friends with are maybe just outside of work, and there's almost this privacy. And again, some of it's cultural from
Absolutely.
my background and what I bring to the table, but it's something to consider.
I'll give you an example of a different culture, which was my first experience. I think within a month's time, I had connected with an old student of mine because I've always been in the education domain, right? It's like been now 23 years or 24 years in the education sector in India as well as here, right? So one of my students was here, and he invited me to alumni event of Rotman Business School, right?
Okay.
And I said, okay, good, it's an event. And so I went as a guest into that school, and you go to. So I was saying, you get invited at an event and everybody buys their own coffee. oh my god, that is like, okay, that's what you do. So I come from a culture when the host buys things for everybody, right? You go for a meeting, you buy your own lunch, I buy my own lunch. That was something new for me in the first month that I faced. But I thought, oh, this is good, this is better, that way you're not snatching the bill from people's hands, and you're saying, okay, good, I can go visit any restaurant. So that is a very, very different thing that I learned right in the first few, like the first month.
Interesting.
But then after that, I thought it was a great practice. In fact, I went back to India and a couple of months, and I said, you know what? We should actually do these get-togethers every month, and everybody just gives 3 credit cards. So you visit the best of hotels, and nobody is worried who's paying, and nobody's worried, oh, every time why should I pay? So
Exactly.
it's great to adapt something new like that.
Yeah.
So
But there's
little
something
things like that.
something I said for old traditions, though, because I remember one of the events we did at the Academy of Learning, and I remember I was waiting for the participants to arrive, and
So
you
I
were
was the
saying,
host.
you were going, Brand, there's samosas here. You haven't eaten yet. You
So
really need to be eating something before
I
you
have got
talk.
that culture. Even in the LinkedIn local event, if you remember,
Oh, yeah, you were
we
doing the same
always
thing.
served Tim Hortons coffee and a little
Exactly.
cookie. And
Where's your
I
coffee,
remember
Brand? You need
making
to have something
sandwiches
to
from
drink.
home in one of the events and getting them as well. But I don't expect that from people. I want to do it. That's my wish. That's my
Yes.
choice,
That's a
right?
Desi style. Well, by the way, Brent now understand what Desi means. So it's a very
It's
Desi
all
style.
learning experience for me. So
Yeah,
there we go.
and I learned that years ago for the very first time when I went to UK. I used to work with British Consulate's office in Karachi, and a colleague of mine said, "Let's have lunch together." For us in India and Pakistan, which means that have lunch together means that if I invite you, I will pay you for your food.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
went to the restaurant in the queue. She took her food, left.
It's a similar experience,
And I'm
right?
like, what? Okay, I had money, I paid, but that was my learning probably in 1992 or 93. If
Oh,
somebody invites you,
yeah.
have lunch together, have coffee together, does not mean that he or she is going to pay. But see, these are the things that you only learn when you're part of a society or a community. And by
Absolutely.
isolating yourself, you do not become part of the community. That is the spirit. This is what I gather. I
Yeah.
think that almost everyone that we have spoken with, Brand, this is what we gather, that your network is your net worth,
Yep.
and how do you build it? How do you build that trust so that people start talking to you?
Yeah.
Don't ask for job right away, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and communication, like I get, probably you get to, and you get an inbox saying "sir," and that's it. And can you help me? I'm looking for a job. That's it.
Yeah.
So you have to build your trust, and then gradually
Absolutely.
things starts unfolding for you. And exactly this is what happened. So I would really like to hear from you, Guneet. How did you find your first job?
I found my first job on Indeed, actually.
All right.
So, yeah. Actually, I did not network for that first job, but yes, I had started networking in that area, that field. In fact, that is one of the mistakes initially that I made in networking, that I networked without thinking. I've
Hmm.
told that to Brent once. I was barking up the wrong tree. I told him
Yeah.
once that I started networking, and a lot of networking events that I attended were actually selling me courses to do.
Yeah.
I wasn't really networking with the kind of people I wanted to network, right? But this person I had actually connected on LinkedIn, but I had already applied a job on Indeed, and he had seen my resume. He had checked. So I had, kind of done a messenger chat with him on LinkedIn. And then it was a small center he was planning to open it up. That was an Academy of Learning franchisee location, and he was just planning to open up. So I was one of the first employees he hired,
Okay.
and I think it was a very good partnership, because in a year's time I made him grow from 4 students to almost 100. So I
Wow.
gave him like 1,000% increase in students, from 4 to almost 100, and which is how I got noticed,
Yes.
um, and got picked up by a bigger branch, saying that, oh, but I learned a lot. So but I feel that networking, like you say, network is your net worth. I say research and network. That is
Hmm.
one thing that works and will work for here. People just network for jobs, don't do it. Research well where you want to network and then start networking there. Otherwise, there's like plenty of events in Canada. It's like Toronto is full of events. Now I can't say only LinkedIn, like the
Hmm.
online events happening. But that is one thing that did work for me. That I wasn't shy to be in like a mistake. You know that a lot of newcomers I've seen make here is, oh, I met somebody in the IT industry. Said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I applied for 50 jobs today." I said, "How? 50 jobs you applied for in one day?" So, which means neither was the resume customized, neither was a cover letter written properly, and you're just sitting on your table. I said, "You'll never get a job sitting in your dining room. You need to get out." And, so that is one thing that I feel everybody should do.
Oh,
So you actually
absolutely.
opened your own doors, really. The way I see it, that you had already established a certain level of relationship or credibility before you went and saw this person at that networking event.
Yes, a couple of messages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So which means that he or she probably has seen your profile,
could
and
be.
maybe because you see when I get a message, the first thing I would do is to go and look at the profile of that person who sent me the message. So the lesson is that if you build that relationship,
Yeah.
then the opportunities start unfolding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But another thing that I did is
Hmm.
I did not expect much. See, I came from a position of being a vice president in marketing at a national level role.
Yeah.
I was looking after like regional managers in the country were reporting into me for different franchisee locations, right? But I did not expect that I'm going to come and straight away join as a vice president in Canada. So I feel don't expect to land in the same position that you were back home.
What was
And
it
I
that what was it that I guess got your mindset where that wasn't your expectation? Like, what did you find out in advance that you kind of recalibrated and set your expectations a bit differently? Like, how did you come to that conclusion before?
it was more of yes, more of mental tuning. But I just try and put myself in other people's shoes whenever I think of something or make up my mind in a particular thing. Brent, I feel that supposing somebody came to me in India from a different, not even from a different country, even from a different region, I would say, oh, okay, you don't know anything about North India. How can I give you a job? So I put myself in people's position here that I don't know anything about the Ontario system of education. I need to give myself some time to learn what the system is about. Why am I in a hurry to become straight away somebody who will not know anything? I need to be a professional that is going to be respected about my knowledge and about things that I can do for them. I have the soft skills, but I don't know the environment. So till I
Mm,
learning, don't be too harsh on yourself. Give yourself time to learn. But I wanted to be sure to enter my industry. I met a lot of people who told me I was okay with doing a survival job, Brent, but I wasn't okay to go and just become a teller in a bank where banking was not my industry. I
right.
got that job, right? I did not, I appeared for an interview in Sun Life where I wanted to become, they wanted me to do that LLQP certification. Right away, I signed an interview, joined. But I did not want to enter the insurance industry. So, what a lot of us
Mhm.
do is just because we want the first job, we will do anything that comes our way. I said, no, I want to enter education because that is where my forte is. That is
Yes.
where my strength and experience lies. And I
Yes.
know I will grow faster in the industry if I enter
Yes.
some industry where I
Yes.
have this. So I always try and put myself in other people's shoes and see if I wouldn't hire anybody, why should anybody hire me?
Interesting. Well,
So yeah.
uh, we as Hamad knows, I'm on Clubhouse, and we have a call every Wednesday night called Dear Canada Stories, where we invite newcomers and people helping newcomers. And that was kind of some of the theme from last night was around just not, being conscious, I guess, of what your title was in your home country and what you were coming to, and this being very clear around what your responsibilities were in your home country. And it may be a similar title or similar organization, but the responsibilities and the expectations might actually be very different. And it's also interesting what you said
But
about
it is very
the community
difficult, Brent.
sector. Yeah, right.
No, but what you're saying is absolutely true. It is very difficult. It's a psychological journey to come from that level and to accept
Oh,
that I can start from scratch, right?
oh, yeah, oh,
Yeah, it is
absolutely.
it is a
Yeah,
very, yeah, it's not easy at all.
no,
It's that acceptance. Initially there are days when you beat yourself too much and say, why can't I get that, so I have the capability and I have the skills. And so and what kills us is the expectations which the family from back home has. That is what kills us,
mm,
Yeah,
you
it's
know
like your own branding in front of your family, right? Uh,
yes,
uh,
yeah,
I mean, it's the same story for everyone. And again, there are people like Guneet, and there are people who, uh, I mean, of course, she progressed and she did whatever was the right thing to do in a new society, and she progressed. And there are people who are still suffering. I mean, I personally know people because a lot of people connect with me for their LinkedIn thing.
they can't accept the lower rank, right?
Absolutely. So I had and I'm trying to actually bring this gentleman in one of the programs. He's just too busy now. He came last September, so 2020 September. He came from Saudi Aramco and Total
Oh,
in Saudi Arabia with, like, you can imagine what kind of salary he was earning. He's an engineer, application engineer.
okay.
He was the one who established 1,400 Total outlets in Saudi Arabia.
wow,
Oh,
So you
wow.
can imagine the kind of experience he's bringing in. So
yes,
he came here, we had a conversation. I was started working on his LinkedIn profile, and he kind of disappeared. So he would not pick up my phone and stuff. And one of the weekends, I got his message that he wanted to speak to me. He said, "Where the hell are you?" I'm kind of waiting for those emails to come back to me. And he told me that he was working at that time as a salesperson at with an automotive wholesaler kind of a thing. So who was like selling these automotive parts to
Yeah.
small shops. And I said, why the hell are you doing it? See, I really want to understand how automotive market works in Canada. That's the
Yeah,
objective.
that's good. Yeah.
And in 1 month, I have visited 100 outlets.
there you go.
Now, somebody with his caliber who could
That
come to
caliber. Yeah.
and buy a house, fully paid up house in Milton,
Yeah,
and still be happy for next 5 years. He actually worked so hard,
Yeah.
and so as soon as he's done that for 1 month, he was so confident in saying,
yes.
everybody is just making everybody fool. I understand exactly what the issues are. I can make a kill in
It's a
7.
market knowledge. It's the
Yeah,
local market knowledge, wherever, whatever,
That's what I
and
was
what
saying.
it is.
That
Yeah,
that attain that knowledge, right? Yeah, that's give you that confidence, right?
and working
Absolutely.
hard to kind of achieve it. It's not easy, as you rightly said. Somebody coming from that level
It's not easy.
and driving and selling these automotive parts, it's just for particularly for South Asians, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
For in North America, people keep changing their professions and they keep
Yeah.
experimenting. For them, it's
Yeah.
pretty normal
Yeah.
to pivot and to start something else. But
Yeah.
for
No, for
South
South Asians, it is. And if there are a couple of South Asians watching this show and they are just new immigrants or landed, I would say, you should give a call to your family members back home, wherever that is, Dubai or Bangladesh or Pakistan or India, and tell them, don't keep calling me. And, Hamad, I'm going to use a Punjabi word there, ki banya.
keep
So I keep telling them, nobody is going to ask me ki banya. So ki banya means, how are things? Did you get a job? I actually called up my maternal, paternal, uncle, aunt, brother, cousin. I said, if anybody asks me that question for the first 3 months, I'm not going to be calling you up again. So I said, I'm in a new country. The left hand ride and the right hand drive is different. I'm going crazy taking driving lessons. I failed 2 times in my driving test, and it's psychologically making me cry. because I've driven a car for 20 years and I can't buy a car because I don't have a license. So
Wow.
I said, I'm struggling right now. You can't ask me, when am I going to get a job? I said, I've worked for 20 years in that country and come. I have enough savings. Even if I don't work for a year, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I will not, I'll still have food on my table. So
Yeah.
let me be. So you need to get that pressure out of your mind. That's very important,
Yeah.
Wow.
especially for Southeast
What
Asians.
I did, Ganesh, just to share with you, because I was like coming from again that kind of a senior level position, and my wife was really worried as to what are you going to do. I said when I shared with her that I'm not going to work for anyone, I'm going to start my own thing. How can you have never done business in life, right? But I said I've coached businesses, right? If I can coach businesses
Yeah.
to business, I can implement those same things on me. And she would not understand. She's like a typical khana pakane wali, or so she said, it's homemaker. So
How will you do that?
so
Yeah.
I have to tell brand means homemaker.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
and she struggled at least until 6 months ago
Yeah.
to what the hell I'm busy, right, 8 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. and so that part of the story, because my family was mostly here, they could understand. But
Yeah.
her,
No, no, it's a personal
no,
journey. It's a personal journey.
yeah,
And
and
after 1 year, Hamad did this program in Rotman School called Business
Yeah. Tell
Edge.
us a
I
bit
don't know
about
whether
it.
you've,
I've heard
yeah.
great things about it. So
Yeah, so I did Business Edge after a year. So this student initially who had introduced me, I met some very wonderful people in that. That was a very psychological journey for me. It's a 6 month program I did.
hmm
It was I was in the first online class there. Every Thursday we used to have a class
hmm
and we had a lot of assignments. It was really a psychological journey for me to accept that internationally qualified professionals uh, have similar problems like I had. They have a
mm.
similar struggle like I did. So it was very good to meet again a diversified lot in that. And I did pretty well there. In fact, I got chosen as the valedictorian of my batch. And it was, so it gave me a platform, right? So I had days, I'm not saying Brent, I've had days where
Yeah.
I just cried at home, that what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why did I come? And for me, I'll play the female card also. It's not easy. I'm staying here alone with
Yeah.
my son, even though money has never been a problem for me. But you know what? There are things that I have done here for the first time that I've never done. I live in my own house, in my parents' house. I got married this is the first time I stayed in a rented place. And I
Mm.
had to hunt for a rented accommodation. The first time in my life I bought a pre-used owned car from Sisley Honda, right? I've never used a second hand car. So
Yeah.
I've done things that I've never done, right?
Wow.
And as a female, there's certain things that get divided. I've never really bothered about finances. The first time I started handling, credit payments, this payment, that payment, and I went crazy. I ended up paying one payment two times and I delayed one payment. And it took me some time because, you become used to 20 years, your spouse doing certain things and you doing certain things, right? And suddenly it all came to me. So as
Wow.
that became also to juggle between everything. And initially I did two jobs. I was working here in like in the first job I did a 2 to 9 shift, and in the morning I was working in the York University library. So I also did that just because I wanted to be a temporary worker in York so that I could
Yes.
apply for better positions later. I came
Yes.
on the road. So it was a
this
short
is
summer job.
wonderful. So you rightly targeted. Let me allow me to recognize Saima Zafar joining us today, this evening.
I said,
If you two are not connected, please get connected. Saima is a fabulous person I got to know very recently. She also helps immigrants with her skills in resume writing and interview
oh,
coaching,
that's nice.
and I'm going to bring her hopefully on our live soon in the months to come, maybe in a month's time. So Saima, thank you very much for joining in. And if you have anything, I mean, I know you've been there, done that, but if you have any suggestion or any question for Guneet, please ask. And thanks for sparing your few minutes of this great evening today for joining our session.
Wow. So we've got a few minutes left.
Yes.
Maybe Guneet, tell us a bit about the future. Then we've talked a bit about your past, your journey, some of the suggestions. But what do you have in the works? What's kind of next? You mentioned about that promotion to Hamilton, so that's amazing. But what else is in your immediate future?
Yeah, so it looks good. I'm hoping and learning again. I'm hoping to learn something new in that position as well, because now I will learn more of the administration of colleges, and I feel I would grow there in that role as well. But something that I would like to give away, because we just have few minutes, is that I would like everybody to play on the front foot. Play on the front foot. That's very important. And write down stuff. This is something I picked up from that course I did in Rotman. It is a, a good thing to have an elevator pitch for
Yes.
all newcomers. You should have a 2-line introduction. You should
Yes.
also have a 1-minute introduction. You should
Yes.
have an introduction for some, write things down. A lot of times when we talk and we come out, we say, oh, I didn't think I conveyed this. So you should have things organized, pen things down, plan,
Mm-hmm.
strategize what you want to convey and how you want people to remember you. So that is what I would say. And don't change your industry. Know your skills. Project yourself as somebody strong.
Yes.
Project yourself as somebody who can actually make a difference to that organization,
Yes.
rather than plead for a job.
Mm-hmm.
You justify your presence. You actually feel that you give me, like, I remember in my first job saying, yes, I can do it. I have launched enough centers in my life, be it Canada or be it anywhere in the world. I can launch a center because I know how to plan.
Yes.
Planning doesn't change. People are the same,
Yes.
right? Students are students. Planning is planning, right? So
Yes.
the culture might be different. So if you can adapt well, be positive, strategize, play on your front foot, and research and network is
Oh,
what I would
amazing.
say. Yeah.
Well, I have to ask a question. Brent, do you understand the meaning of play on the front foot?
Yes,
That's
I've
a
worked
cricket
with.
terminology.
I used to work for a British company. I've worked
All
with
right.
quite a few
Okay.
Australians.
So
So
all right. So that
it's kind of
correct,
it's kind
cricket
of
terminology.
we would say, using the football analogy, it's kind of going
Yeah.
back to hockey, what we talked about in terms of play on offense. So
Yeah.
it's being proactive. Don't wait for things to come to you. Go to things. And I think that's what I noticed about Guneet from the first time I met her at the event at the
Absolutely.
North York Public Library. I thought,
Yeah.
this, because
He is full
you
of
spoke
energy,
a bit.
right?
Sorry, well,
So
it's like,
that was an initiative that we took, right? I attended the first LinkedIn local event and I said, why do I have to travel every time to Brampton or Etobicoke to attend an event? Why can't we have one in North York? And I
yes,
spoke to this person whose event I had attended, and she introduced me to Anna McFay, and we attended an online event. And I was the one, along with 2 other people, who initiated this North York LinkedIn Local Center, the chapter,
absolutely.
right?
And that was the
So,
first time I'd gone to one.
so
But the first time I saw you, it's like, she knows what she's doing. They're like, she's going places. You were very positive, high energy,
no,
assertive,
Brent, thank you.
but like you knew
I
what
still
you
have a
could
long
tell.
way to go. I still have a long way to go. I'm not done. I've just arrived. I have just arrived.
See,
So I
so
have
this
a
is
long way.
this is the spirit that will keep us pushing, right? If we
Yes.
if we settle for as a mediocre, will still be a mediocre. Which there's nothing wrong with it, right?
No,
Some people would do
I'm
that.
very satisfied. I'm really grateful and thankful for the blessings that I have been given. I'm really grateful. I'm satisfied with the progress I've made, but it's good to be ambitious. And
Oh
it's
yes,
good to keep having these small targets for yourself so that you keep growing, right? So it's good to have that. Like I said, learning and earning. How can you stop, right? So it's good to do that.
So I have scribbled these pointers. These are like
Oh,
I don't think you can see that, but based on this, I'm going to put up a post whenever I find time, either tonight or tomorrow.
sure.
Um, just to recap few things here because I've just scribbled it. Uh, Learn because learn has earn in it. If you stop learning, you will stop earning.
Fine.
Your first step should be networking and learning again. You have to be out there and be seen, as always call it. Um, Give yourself time, enough time to understand and adjust and
Adapt.
acclimatize to the environment. You have to have a strategy. Play on
But
the
please
front
be
foot.
positive.
Yeah, play on the front foot, and your confidence really plays a lot of
It does.
a big role in your progress. Know your skill and capitalize on small targets. So this is what I captured of this 45 minutes conversation.
Thank you
Um,
so much. You captured
it's
it pretty well.
fantastic to have you with us, Guneet, today. Brent, your final words, and then
Oh, I just so Guneet, so I'm just so happy you joined. So much valuable learning that you've had, and I'm just so pumped that things are working out for you. And congratulations on the new job. So happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I recently bought a new house as well.
all
Oh,
right,
no kidding! Wow.
Yeah, a month ago. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
which
Just
amazing.
moved
in
into my new
Hamilton,
place.
in Hamilton.
No, I bought it in Scarborough.
All right, so you're pretty close to where I am. I actually moved 45 days ago to my new house in Oshawa. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Congratulations.
And by the way, Brent, I've got my new fridge delivered finally
Yes.
after 45
So
days.
I would love to meet again in person. Let's hope this
Oh yeah,
vaccination position moves soon and we can start meeting people
Oh,
in
that'll be
person
so
again.
good. I can't wait.
absolutely.
Yeah, but
Uh,
thank you very much. It was like a pleasure being here, and there's a lot to learn from both of you, and I really enjoyed being on the show.
Learning is
Great. Thank
always
you so much,
good.
Guneet.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much. So I'll put both of you at the backstage. So just stay there and let me just conclude
sure.
the show and we will join you. All right, Brent, what an energy, right? You know, she's
Oh,
full
I think
of
she'd be a great
spark.
guest. Oh, absolutely. So happy that she'd be on. And again, Academy of Learning. Guneet is your contact. They offer a whole range of courses uh, available. Wide range of sectors. So please reach out to Guneet, and she can provide you information on the Academy of Learning. Their centers across Ontario, and looking forward to episode number 10.
Absolutely. So, uh, friends and families in Canada and wherever you have joined in from, thanks for joining me and Brent tonight and Guneet for this show. And if you join in later and you watch this live later, which will not be live, pre-recorded, please comment and connect with Guneet if you need any help from her. I'm sure she'll be able to guide you, coach you,
For
and
sure.
good. You want to say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. I was just going to say, if people are looking to connect with me,
Yes.
they can go to my company page. So Brent Canada Experiences on LinkedIn and follow. And I'll be posting copies of the episodes there. And it'd be great to connect. And just, when you reach out, just let me know uh, how we know each other, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ahmad.
So
And I think the game's going to start pretty soon.
yeah. So just very quickly. So Brent actually helps immigrants and PR holders to understand how the business environment works in Canada. He coaches them. I coach people on LinkedIn side of it. How do you build your LinkedIn profile for Canadian recruiters, Canadian job market? And I also run coaching sessions for those who really want to excel in their LinkedIn skills. So with that, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening
You too.
and good night from Toronto.